In this video, I'm going to review some of the problems on this worksheet, and I'm going to start with number 8. Number 8, you have an equation with denominators of 4 and 2. To get rid of the denominator, what you can do is multiply by the least common multiple of the denominators. For example, 2. Multiples of 2 are 2, 4, 6, 8, and so on. Multiples of 4 are 4, 8, 12, 16, and so on, right? So to find the number that they have in common, smallest number that they have in common, they both have a multiple of 4 in common. So what you can do is, to get rid of the denominators, multiply both sides of the equations by 4. Then what you're going to have is 4 times 3y over 4, which is 12y over 4. And again, you're going to multiply that to the second one, so then that becomes 4y over 2 equals 20. And then you can simplify these fractions. 12 over 4 can be simplified as 3, so 3y. And then 4 over 2, 4 divided by 2 is 2, so minus 2y equals 20. And then if you subtract them, you get y equals 20 as your answer. Okay, so then let's try with number 9. Multiples of 2 are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and so on. Multiples of 5 are 5, 10, 15, and so on. But the number they have in common is going to be 10. That's the smallest common multiple they have in common. So I'm going to multiply both sides of the equations now by 10. So now I'm going to have 10a over 2 plus 10 over 5 equals 170. Simplify. 10 divided by 2 is 5, so this can be just 5a. 10 divided by 5 is a 2, so this is just 2 equal to 170. Subtract 2 both sides. And then I'm just going to divide 5 both sides, which gives me a is equal to 168 over 5, which you can leave as your final answer. The next ones I'm going to review are going to be exponent problems, starting with number 13. 13, we're going to be multiplying all of these together. This means you're just multiply across. So I'm going to start with x. X to the 5th times x to the 4th. And then you got the y. And then you got the z. If you're multiplying with the same x, what you're going to do is you're going to add the exponents. You're going to get x to the power of 9. Same thing for the y. You're going to add the exponents together, which is 8 plus negative 3. You're going to have y to the 5th. And z is going to stay. Multiply them all together. You're just going to leave this as your final answer. Okay. The next one. Let's review number 15. In 15, you have a fraction, and c to the negative 3rd power, it's in the denominator. Whenever you have a negative exponent, for example, if you have 2 to the power of negative 1, that becomes 1 over 2. You're just flipping this upside down and then change the exponent to positive, which is 1/2. But if you have 1 over 2 to the power of negative 1, this time you have 2 with negative 1 exponent in the denominator, then this whole thing is going to move up to the numerator. And the exponent's going to turn into a positive. So this is equal to 2. Let's try it again. 1 over 3 to the negative second power. You're going to now put 3 on the top, but again, change the exponent to positive. So 3 squared, which is 9. In this case, c to the negative third power in the denominator, you're going to move it to the top. So let's see, I'm going to copy everything down. And then c to the power of, because I'm moving it up, change the exponent to positive, so positive 3. Now what we have is a squared, b to the 7th, c will be adding the exponents together, which will be 4, a to the 5th, and b to the 4th. Then we're going to keep going. If you have a squared over a to the 5th, that means you have 2 a's and 5 a's at the bottom, which means 2 of the a pairs are going to cancel out, and you have 3 left here, so you're going to have a to the 3rd in the denominator. Same thing for the b. You have 7 b's, but you have 4 b's in the denominator. So think about how many you have more, how many of the b's you have remaining. You will have 3 remaining, but where? In the denominator. So b to the 3rd, and c has nothing to cancel out with, so that's going to be your final answer. Next one, 16. Any number with an exponent of 0 is equal to 1. So 7 to the power of 0 is also equal to 1, meaning you can just ignore this. That's just a 1. So you're left with n to the negative 3rd squared times n to the 5th squared. When you have exponent on top of exponent, now we multiply the exponents. So then now this is n to negative 6 times n to the 10th power. And then now we're just multiplying with the n's. So then we can add the exponents together. So we're going to add these two. So n to the power of negative 6 plus 10, which is n to the power of positive 4. Okay. Next one, 18. In 18, I'm going to start inside the parenthesis first. If you look inside the parenthesis, we got n to the power of negative 2 in the denominator. So I'm going to move that up to the numerator, because if you have a negative exponent, you are allowed to move it around to the other side. So it's going to move to the top, but then what's going to happen is that the negative turns into a positive. So now I have n to the 4th times n, and then the denominator n to the negative 2nd, it's going to be n to the power of positive 2. And I'm going to just copy everything else. Okay. I'm only worked with this one. So now, inside the absolute value, I can just multiply, means adding the exponents. So 4 plus 1 plus 2 raised to the power of negative 4. Still copying that because I'm only doing inside the parenthesis now. So that's n to the power of 7th raised to the power of negative 4. And then here I have exponent on top of exponent, which means I can multiply. So n to the power of negative 28, which again has a negative exponent. So I'm going to flip it upside down, which means n is going to now go to the denominator and change negative 28 to positive 28. That's the final answer. Let's do the same thing with number 20. Number 20, what I'm going to do is I'm going to work inside first. I'm going to work inside of it, but I'm going to start by working on the negative exponent in the bottom, because I know that I can move it to the numerator. So here's what I have, c to the power of 5 times c to the negative third, copy that. And then this one is in the denominator, so I'm going to move it to the numerator and change it to a positive exponent. Okay, still put the whole thing around the exponent of 2. And now what I can do, it's like having x squared times x to the 4th. I'm just adding the exponents together. So I'm going to add all of these exponents together. C to 5 plus negative 3 plus 4. And that's all raised to the power of 2. So adding them all, 5 plus negative 3 is 2, plus 4 is 6. I did the inside, raised to the power of 2. Now I can multiply the exponents. It's like having x squared to the 4th. We multiply the exponents. Now this is c to the power of 12. Okay. Please make sure to look over these problems. I highly recommend that you go back to these problems and maybe try redoing them. Redo it if you need more practice.